let's speak to the power of dealing with our trauma. Why am I saging the place? Why am I power santering the place? Because trauma is heavy. Trauma is really, really heavy, and it hurts, and it's painful. And when we speak to our trauma, we relieve our trauma. When we communicate to our pain, we relieve our pain. But let me talk a little about trauma. When we experience trauma as a young person, as a child, when we have a traumatic experience, whenever it may be, the reasoning faculties of our brain shut down, and they need to, because we have to deal with the pain or the fear or the trauma at hand. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, or fall. Fall down the ground, pretend we're dead. Whatever it may be. We activate the older parts of our brains. And in doing so, we disconnect. Our bodies disconnect. Our mind almost disconnects from that experience. And so when we carry that forward into our adult world, what tends to happen is that we struggle to communicate when we are in pain or when we are experiencing challenges or difficulty. Now, there's a parallel drawn here. So say you've experienced some pain or trauma as an adult. Say you've experienced some pain and difficulty as an adult. If you shut down and you don't communicate to that, you don't share that with people that you trust, respect, and revere, people that can reciprocate and mirror to you what you're experiencing and feeling, you're harboring that shame and you're reinforcing the shame and the pain and the fear that you experienced when you were younger. And that means you're repeating the old pattern. You're bringing the past, the patterns of the past into the present, thinking that you're not worthy enough or good enough to speak to this or to open up a conversation to this or to express it and relieve some of that burden, because sharing is caring, right? We're relational beings. When we express without self-judgment and without judging others, judging ourselves, we get to reframe old stories. Now, obviously, dealing with old trauma is more than just that. This is just part of it. But say you're going through a breakup. Say you met someone and you're really excited about them and you have sex with them and then they dump you or they ghost you and you're really embarrassed about that. If you keep that to yourself and don't share that with a therapist, a coach, a friend, you don't share that burden, that pain, it stays with you. And it mimics and resembles at some energetic level, not completely, of course, but at some energetic level, the trauma that you experienced when you were younger, the physical abuse, the sexual abuse, the emotional abuse, the not feeling good enough and keeping it within and hiding it. Because you're just repeating a pattern of hiding from the world and hiding from yourself. And that infers that you feel at some level you're not good enough to share. You're not enough. You're not worthy enough. So we diffuse shame by communicating to our shame and communicating to the pain that we're just feeling. And we're cultivating a healthy habit of sharing. So speak with close ones and loved ones. Don't hold that pain inside. Because what's happening is if you do that, you're just going to relive the old, at some level, right? At some level, you're just going to relive the old experiences that you once held, that you once had in your life that have been very damaging to you. And you're just reinforcing the point that my pain's not worthy enough or good enough to speak to. It's not important enough to open up to. And I've got to keep it to myself. I've got to deal with it by myself. That breeds isolation, a sense of loneliness. It can also create a pattern of not relying on anyone and therefore feeling emotionally and physically distant from people. It can produce this sense of unworthiness and this sense that you're doing life alone. Now, in terms of being intimate and sharing with people, because we have basic fundamental human needs: to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, accepted, appreciated, respected, and to reciprocate that. Now, if you distance yourself and you shame yourself and you hide from the world, people will struggle to trust you and you'll struggle to allow yourself to be close to people. And you're denying yourself of fundamental human needs, which makes us feel unhealthy, makes us feel, again, it reinforces something's wrong with us, particularly if we have been victimized as young people, if we've experienced some form of abuse. We just reinforce that story of, I deserve this. I deserve to not be happy. So we have a choice. Communicate our truth and our pain and the challenges that we're feeling in real time with people that we trust, respect, and revere, people that can guide us, friends, family, people that are close, therapist, coach, someone that you trust, or keep hiding and shaming yourself from the world. The world doesn't need any of that right now. We are isolating more than we should be in different ways, in so many ways. We are disparate, disillusioned, we are divided. That is not what we need right now. So if you're in pain, share that load. Don't project onto someone else. Of course you have to process your own stuff. Be self-reliant, be self-empowered. But don't do it completely on your own, because you're not completely alone. And if you believe that, you'll create that, you'll attract that, you'll perpetuate that, you'll reinforce that, you'll bring the past into the present, because you're just bringing old patterns of reactivity and how you dealt with something in the past into the present, which means you're reliving the past, which means you're never shifting and changing, and you're getting more of what you actually don't want. So we break that pattern by believing there's a new way. At least that's a starting point. Pound blessings to you. I'll see you soon.